Good,
Hey,
good.
Nick.
Right. And we said we would be on at around 9 or 10. We
You're
lied.
liars. Liars.
All of those labels, man.
Yeah.
Ryan and Nick are liars.
Yeah.
Hey, that ties into what I want to talk about. Labels.
Label.
Do you know? Have you ever like bought an orange that was labeled as an apple? That's a
I've
terrible.
bought a lot of no, but yes, but I've bought a lot of things that were mismarked. Happens all the
Right?
time at work.
Yeah, I mean, think of all the warnings they have on prescriptions. Oh, hey, look at that label. Is that a Mountain Dew? There you go.
It's a Mountain Dew.
No, they have prescriptions, and if they're mislabeled and you take the wrong pill, that's not a good thing.
It's
Probably end up
dangerous.
dying. Dangeroso. That is true Spanish right there. we not only do we speak English, we speak really good Spanish. Good morning.
Backwards. We speak backwards. Hi, Amy.
Look, Amy Bingham. We speak.
She's amazing.
Keeps drawcab. I guess inegni nis drawcab. Fu tanawi moot. That was backwards. It just said I could say anything you want if you want me to. Backward.
Oh.
But it's one word at a time. Anyway, labels, man.
That's legit.
I mean, I see it as like somebody says Ryan is a liar. That's a label, especially if you take it on, you know.
A lot of people do. A lot of people start becoming what they perceive others, think of them, or what people might say it of them, and then they just take that identity on.
Even worse if it's a professional, like some doctor maybe mislabels you and says you're broken. You've got, let's say, borderline personality disorder, and you don't. But he says it, and you believe it, and you start living into it, and you start living as though that's the case. And it could be anything like that, like a mental illness. It could be a parent saying you're stupid. And you start to believe you're stupid, and you start to act like you're stupid. I think they used to call that black magic back in the day.
Really?
Put a spell on you. I'm going to put a curse on you, and you're going to believe it, and you're going to believe it so well that you're going to go live it like it's true and make it a self-fulfilling prophecy.
You said living as though, and what came to my mind right off the bat when you said that, though, is in a sense.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
We should use that more.
Yeah, I've heard that somewhere. When somebody says in a sense, when somebody says that about you, you could take that negative thing on, but you could also flip that around and start living as though you were something else, something better, something greater, something giant, maybe even.
There you go. Yeah, I like that.
If you start taking on maybe something in the future, maybe you're not the best leader, maybe you're not the best person, maybe you are a liar. Start living as though you're not one right now.
Yeah, that's a good thought there, because the reality is you can change it at any point. I look at the science behind placebos and nocebos. Placebos are positive effects, and nocebos are negative effects. And so when you use a nocebo in the form of, I'm a terrible person, you start to live into that. Then you start to become that terrible person. Or I'm sick, I've got all these sicknesses, and you become a hypochondriac. You really might not have a sickness, but you're living as though you do.
I don't have sicknesses because I eat my gummies. I have to eat my gummy. This is what I have to do to get my vitamins and or my fruits and vegetables, because
seriously,
I'm really bad at it. So I take my Juice Plus vitamins. I
did mine this morning too, pill form.
But anyway, keep going.
The placebo, those, maybe they're a placebo. Maybe it's not really fruits and vegetables. It just makes you feel better. Rachel, don't get too mad. I know Dr. Rachel Smart's going to watch that and say, don't you dare
It has apples in it and peaches. All the good stuff. It even has kale, and kale is nasty.
Kale is nasty. You nasty.
Kale, you're a nasty person.
Sounds like a Cardi B song. You nasty. Kale, apples, nasty.
Nasty.
You nasty.
do.
Man. You
Wake
know,
up with giants and
wake up with
create,
giants. Eat your
Cardi B
vegetables.
songs.
Eat your fruits. I think, thinking of the power of labels, think of your labels today. This is me drawing us back, being the serious one. Ryan's always like awesome.
But I'll be serious.
No, I think labels. If I told Ryan, you're this, and he believed it. If I told him he was a giant and he believed it, think of what he could do. Magic. It's magic, right? There's a lady in New York that takes a sugar pill, and she's reduced her inflammation in her body, and she knows it's a sugar pill, and she believes in it, and she takes it every day, and it creates a change in her body because she believes it.
You want to see my weight loss supplement?
Yeah, it could be anything. Mountain Dew is good for me.
This is amazing for me.
It's like, hey, Mountain Dew is great for me. Now, that might not be scientifically true. Chug.
Oh, it hurt a little. Okay.
You should pop the top. You should poke a hole in the top and shoot that thing. It's like this is a frat show. Anyway, power levels, right? Remember how powerful that your brain is. When somebody says something true, you really need to double check it and make sure that it's accurate. Because if you take it on as though it is and it's not, that could create some real harm for you. Because I've done that in the past. Like, you might not be broken like you think. Mental illness, the way you see it, might just be a relearning. Some things that you need to relearn in your life. There may be some serious trauma and brain damage and other things that can affect you. Absolutely. But for the most part, most of us didn't learn the things that we needed to learn when we were young. So we have to learn it now. And so if we take on the label that I'm broken, then we might not learn it.
You know what I did with my
I don't.
my ADHD? Well, I'm going to tell you, Nick.
Yeah. Go ahead.
With my ADHD and my depression, anxiety, I made it my superpower. So I flipped that around and took it on as a superpower of sorts. And I learned some of that through even just recently from Brett Borg.
Yeah,
Borg talked about that and the highs and that you get from those things and how to maybe utilize them for good versus looking at them as a negative.
Let me point something out that you just said. My ADHD, my depression, as though there's an ownership of it, as though it is who you are, right? Like, definitely present. But what people can do in this case here is to separate it out and say that ADHD or that
ADHD.
So it puts it more outside of you. You know what I mean? Like,
that's great.
But it's not your identity. Like, it's not mine. It's not who I am. It's definitely present, definitely a thing, but it's not who I am. It's not mine, right? Like that separating it out is releasing the ownership of it in a way to where it's not your identity. And I think that's where we get hung up is we start to believe that's who we are. Man, look at with ADHD, look at what you've accomplished. You talk about a superpower. I mean, you're able to pull a room together. You're able to connect with people immediately. You're able to build trust and confidence in people. Your focus might be all over the place, but that superpower of that focus being all over the place is a way to create, right? You're looking at it as, wow, that thing allows me to create things.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody else can say, well, I can't create because of my ADHD or my stuttering or whatever it is.
You know, it's interesting because I took that on as a label, and then seeing that and saying that out loud, it's also important to have a coach so that somebody else can see what you can't see, because I didn't see that.
Yeah.
I said, my ADHD, my anxiety, my depression. Instead, I said I could separate that out and say the anxiety.
Call her Karen, or call her, Brian or something. Like, my ADHD is now Brian. So Brian over there is like doing the ADHD thing, but it's separate from who I am as an identity.
Yeah. And that's funny because I've said that to other people, and I've talked about it with other people. With my sister, she calls it Karen.
Yes.
And,
sorry, Karen and Brian, that your names are destroyed. We didn't mean to.
Karen and Brian are wonderful people.
We're just jumping on the bandwagon. But yeah, I know a lot of Karens actually that are really awesome people. But anyway, but keep going.
But sometimes it's hard when it's yourself. We talked about self-reflection and looking in the mirror. Telling yourself you love you, that you're good enough, that you can do these things. That's hard to do. And sometimes it's hard to see what's right in front of you, the life that you're living, because you're right in the mix of it. Maybe you don't want to see it sometimes. But it's important, I think, to get a coach, because then, just like right there, now I can recognize it and adjust, adapt, grow, stretch.
I was better. Along those lines, I was talking to my daughter. She's 8, and we went for a walk up in the mountains. And she said, "My brother's mean. He called me this." And I said, "Well, why does that mean something for you? What if you just took that and it said, well, that's like calling me an orange. Like it doesn't mean anything. It only means something if you make it mean something." And with labels, if somebody comes along and says, "You're this," right? And you take it on, you're like, oh yeah, totally this. Oh yeah, you said that about me, I'm totally this thing. And you start living into it, and you got this label on it, and somebody else put it on you, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna own that. Hey, you're ugly. You know what? I'm ugly, right? And you start
just double checking. I was just moving in just double check.
Man. Wow,
nope, that's true.
But you take that label instead of just ripping that shit off and throwing it away. It's like you take it on and you're like, oh yeah, you said that about me. It's got to be true. Well, who are they to label you? You take on the label and you keep it. And so if somebody says something about you, it's like saying, well, you're an orange. You're ugly. Well, you're an orange. It's like, couldn't it be the same thing? Like, it really means only what we make it mean. And so it really goes back to, like, in the old days, they called it black magic. Somebody would put a curse on somebody and they would believe it. And then they would live into it and it would come true. And they're like, you cursed me. That's a witch. How do you know she's a witch?
Burn her.
She's made of wood. Burn her. She floats. Little Monty Python.
Love Monty Python.
So yeah, be aware of the power of your words on what you say to others and what you say to yourself and what you allow others to stick on you. Peel that off if it's not working. That's
brother.
That's my thought.
Yeah.
You have additional thoughts on it?
Nope. I'm just grateful this morning for a wonderful coach who is inspired to share wonderful messages. So I appreciate you today. And I'm going to go change my story too. I think we should talk about that maybe tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah. Let's put that on the list. I like that.
It's on the list. We got a big list.
Yeah.
We don't have a list.
But also, Go check out the 2 articles that Ryan posted this morning, which are awesome on Facebook. So there's one about a kid that jumps down the stairs. He jumps down the stairs and then he doesn't even land. He bounces and then he stands there like, I meant to do that, right?
I think I stole it from Amy's feed. I think it was Amy's. But it was it was rebranded as something different, but in my mind it triggered like, I've done this. Like, this is sometimes I just jump right in and bounce a little, and
you're like, I meant to do that.
Funny. Yeah, I had to watch it like 4 or 5 times. I'm like, did that kid just bounce? He's got this cape and it's like flying.
That's what I was wondering.
Down the stairs.
Yeah. I was waiting for him to catch his breath and like say, it's all good. That's what superheroes do or something. But you could tell he was hurting. He hurt his ass. So he landed on his butt. And boom, boom, boom. And then the other one, Mr. Rogers, what a powerful message there. As we look at what we're doing with the Giants, he was doing that. He was doing the same thing. He was building people up when they were young years ago. And I mean, what a powerful message. You talked about Melissa Ross, and I know she wants to be the female Mr. Rogers. She wants to be Mr. Rogers in a way.
She's killing it. We're going to slap that label right on her.
Yeah. You are Mr. Rogers.
Miss Rogers.
Ms. Rogers. Something. That's you. Take that on. Anyway, great articles. So check those out. Make sure you grab a copy of the book. Keep sharing our show. Comment. The biggest thing on these is make some comments. If you have some thoughts around this, please share them. Dialogue with each other. Not only is it valuable to us, but it's valuable to Facebook. When they see interaction, they're going to boost this for us. And so we would love your help to create comments and really move this up in the rankings. So any other thoughts today, Ryan?
Love you guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks for being a part of this. Make it a Giant day. We'll see you tomorrow.